So if you don't know, and you probably do because of all my videos, I'm not a massive fan of the fact that Luke died in episode 8. I think that there was much more that he could have done in episode 9. And unfortunately they wasted his character. And that was kind of Rian Johnson's thing. He was good at wasting characters.
Got him! Got him!
What's up, Net Soldiers? I'm the Alliance. Welcome back to another video. Recently on my YouTube community page, I asked you guys, hey, if you could change one thing about the Star Wars Last Jedi film, what would you change? It can be anything. You can change a character. You can change an event in the film. What would you change? So we're going to be talking about if I agree, if I disagree, maybe some things I might add to your opinion or might change. So I guess we'll see how this goes. But before we begin going over the suggestions on the video, I have a lot of other suggestions in that post in particular. So if you want to go and check out some really interesting opinions and thoughts about other fans have about The Last Jedi, I recommend checking those out. There'll be a link to that in the description below. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn notifications, and make sure your posts are on so when I do post something like this, you can possibly comment and perhaps be featured in the next video. But with that said, let us begin. Our first one is from Ryan S. Tham. You guys always give me hard names to pronounce. I don't know why you do this to me. He says, just remove all the casino scenes with Finn and Rose and replace them with something else. So this is an interesting one because this is actually one that I've seen a lot on that post in particular. Kind of people giving their different opinions on what should happen with Finn and Rose and the casino scenes. So personally, I think that the casino scenes, the casino world, Canto Bight, could have been a very interesting planet. It could have had a very interesting subplot with interesting characters, and it could have been something that was really cool to be introduced into the film. And on the surface, it looks like it's going to be, right? When we first visited it in the film, I was thinking to myself, wow, this is actually a pretty interesting planet. We've never seen something this weird. You know, it's scummy, but it's like high-class scum, you know? So it's cool to see this, but unfortunately it was wasted on trying to send a message and not just trying to make the planet actually a good planet. Finn and Rose were pretty much wasted on this planet too. Everything they planned on doing was pretty much for nothing, and that was sad. I agree to this comment to a point. You see, I believe that Finn and Rose should have gone to the Canto Bight still, but I think that the Canto Bight scenes should have been written better. There should be more reason for being there, and the Codebreaker probably should have just been Lando, you know, something like that to really tie together the story, but that's what we got. This next one is from Klayton Fioriti. He does a lot of awesome Jurassic World videos, so if you want to check him out, I'll leave a link to his channel in the description below. And he says, I would change Luke's attitude and portray him as a hero instead of a coward that didn't want to do anything with the Jedi. So I agree to a point with you, Clayton, but I also disagree with you. In a way, I would also have Luke's attitude start out maybe the same in episode 8, but then have him kind of change his mind halfway through instead of right at the very end, right when he's about to die. Do you know that was a bad mix up. He should initially been not wanting to train Rey, and then eventually realizing like Rey's worth it. I'm going to train her, and that's when he's like, while he's training her, he starts to realize, oh wait a second, maybe the Jedi are worth fighting for. Maybe this philosophy, this way I've been my entire life, maybe it's time for me to kind of learn who I am again, and I can learn who I am while I'm teaching Rey, and Rey's learning how to be a Jedi. So they're both essentially learning how to be Jedi. While Luke is learning how to be a Jedi again, Rey is learning how to be a Jedi for the first time, and I think that would be an interesting idea. So Clayton, while I wouldn't say he's exactly a coward, I do think that his character development should have happened sooner than just right before he died. So I agree with you in that standpoint. Next one we have Avery Hilbig, and she says, keep Snoke and Phasma alive until the next movie, kill off Princess Leia since Carrie Fisher is dead, not include Rose, and remove the Master Codebreaker subplot. So this is one of those things where I was like, hey, leave one change, but then they gave me a couple. But since they're kind of like brief, I decided I'd tackle this comment anyways. So keep Snoke and Phasma alive. I agree to this point. I think that Snoke should have been in episode 9. In fact, I think although Snoke is dead, I do think a part of him will be in episode 9, either in spirit form or cloned form, or even the real Snoke who's been controlling Snoke the entire time. You know, maybe like the Puppet Master, he'll show up. Something that's going to be the big bad. It's going to be the one who is controlling Snoke, or it is going to be Snoke. As far as Phasma goes, everyone's saying that she's dead. I'm pretty sure she's still alive. You know, that armor is really, really strong. So I think that if she fell, she would still like not exactly like crumble or it wouldn't like crush her. It would just kind of maybe get dented, but even then probably not. She has really strong armor on that can deflect blasters. So I think that perhaps she can also take impacts like that. I don't know. I'm pretty sure she'll be back, and maybe she'll have like robotic pieces, and maybe she'll actually be a character. That'd be nice too. On to our next one, we have kill off Princess Leia since Carrie Fisher is dead. This is something that should have happened. Leia should have taken the spot of Holdo. She should have sacrificed herself to take out the enemies. You know, they kind of set it up perfectly too. What they could have done was how Leia had her situation in the beginning where she like almost died in space. We could say that she had some health complications from that situation, right? So she has some health complications. She's gonna die anyways. There's nothing that they can do. She might as well go out with a bang. And I think that that was a perfect time for Carrie Fisher to do that. Usually when films are filming stuff with older actors, they will actually film alternate scenes that aren't supposed to be in the real film to kind of, just in case the actor does pass away, that they have that kind of cushion to change the plot. And I'm surprised they didn't do that with Carrie Fisher. I feel like that's something that's smart to do. A lot of films do it, so I don't understand why they didn't do that with The Last Jedi. You know, not that they expected her to die, of course, but the idea that you just never know. I hope they just start off with her funeral and that's the beginning of the film. Something like that. Mostly because I just don't want to see Carrie Fisher be morphed into another CGI monster. You know, I don't want to see that. I'd rather have her die, have her actress, her character just gone. Do you know? She died in the beginning. She died before episode 9 begins. We don't have to worry about any of the CGI, you know, Tarkin monster or CGI Leia monster. Although they're not the worst CGI creations, of course. You know, I don't want them to tarnish it. It's not ethical to do that. I'm not a massive fan of that situation, unless, of course, it's something that's super dire. And in my opinion, Leia could totally die here, and I'd be okay with that. I'd be okay with letting her go because I know Carrie Fisher's gone. And it's not right to carry on Carrie Fisher's character if she's gone. So that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I feel. Now, this also comes to not include Rose. There's a lot of these comments too, not to include Rose. I would include Rose, but I would also change her character to make it better. We have also removed the Master Codebreaker subplot, yes, or make the Master Codeblocker Lando. That's what I would say. Just to kind of, like I mentioned in the previous comments, was to make Lando the Master Codebreaker and kind of have that included into the story. I think that would be good. And we have Sir Lumpy. I like that picture. Replace Holdo with Akbar. I heard of that one too. I think that's a pretty cool idea. Holdo's character should have been replaced with Akbar or Leia. In fact, we could have seen Holdo in the future film and maybe she would have become a better character by episode 9 and we have less crap about her being said, but I don't know. On our next one, we have Melody Claire. She's also a longtime fan of mine. Always a good fan. Always good to see Melody in here in the comments. I would make sure Luke faded instead of dying and have Rey be a Kenobi. Also, Leia would have died and Holdo would live. Okay, so that's pretty much what I said in the previous comment, was that Holdo would have her spot replaced with Leia. So we covered that already. And you would make Luke faint instead of dying, and Rey would be a Kenobi. So as far as the Rey being Kenobi thing, I don't know if I'm necessarily a fan of that. I actually prefer the idea of her being more of a lost daughter of Luke's, making Rey and Kylo cousins, and therefore then they can't be romantically involved. Do you know what I mean? You can wipe out that subplot altogether, but probably not. Rey is actually probably just going to be a reincarnation of the Force, kind of like what Anakin was in episode 1. So I think that would be cool. Now when it comes to Luke fainting instead of dying, I would be a fan of that. I'd be okay. So if you don't know, and you probably do because of all my videos, I'm not a massive fan of the fact that Luke died in episode 8. I think that there was much more that he could have done in episode 9, and unfortunately they wasted his character, and that was kind of Rian Johnson's like thing. He was good at wasting characters.
Got him! Got him!
Not an attack on the guy, okay? He's a nice dude. I hear, and I actually hear that a lot of his stuff that he directs is pretty good. He just wasn't meant to direct this film, and unfortunately he did. So that was the problem. And yeah. On the next one we have John Castanos, and he says, remove Rose saving Finn and have Finn go ahead and sacrifice himself to destroy the giant laser, thereby saving a lot of resistance people. This is what should have happened. This was the one scene in The Last Jedi where I was actually like, whoa, they're actually going to do it. They actually have the cojones, you know? They actually have the cojones to sacrifice a main character. And honestly, Finn dying here would have been insane, because that would have not only been a good send-off for his character, he would have totally redeemed his kind of boring character in that moment. While I think Finn is a fun character, he doesn't necessarily need to be in the future films. And I think that was a great way for him to go out. You know, he was once on their side and he sacrificed himself to save the people that he was once against, that now he's on their side, you know? And I think that would have been a very cool scene to set him out on, and unfortunately Rose ruined it, and then they had a kiss that no one really believed in. Yeah. Next one we have MPL split feeds, and this one is kind of a long one. I would have changed the whole story of the movie. Instead of it basically being Mad Max in space, which he's not wrong, he totally is Mad Max in space, the majority of the time, Snoke would still die because I feel it's an important thing for the progression of Kylo, but I think Leia did it by blowing up the station Snoke and her were on, and it would be a major sacrifice that would cause everyone major feels, and because it would be a great way for an original character to go. So pretty much what you're saying is that it was not Kylo who killed Snoke, it would be when Leia goes to crash her ship, that would be when Snoke would die. That would be a really interesting concept. The idea that to Kylo, there's like two parents kind of in his life right now, and besides Han, but Han's dead. You have Snoke, who's kind of been raising him for the majority of his adult life, and you have Leia, who raised him for the majority of his child's life. When it comes down to it, these are his parents. Even though Snoke's not actually his parent, you know, he essentially trained him and he looked after him for a very long time, and so now he is kind of like a parent figure. So watching Leia, who is Kylo's real mother, kill his adoptive father in a way, and they both die, that would be a pretty insane way to go, because that would kind of be like, oh, both my pillars are gone. My pillar to the dark is gone, my pillar to the light is gone, what's going to happen to me? And I think that would be an interesting concept for sure. So I do like this idea. I don't know if I'm 100% on board, but I actually like this idea for sure. From Alex Eustasis, I like his profile picture, it's so good. He says, I think Leia should have died. The force pull thing she does in space is just dumb. Also, she isn't in much of the story, and since Carrie Fisher died, RIP, crying face. I think it would be better for her to die than to do a computer magic and animation to put her in episode 9. I mean, they killed Luke and they shouldn't have, but Carrie Fisher dies, sad for crying face again. And don't kill Leia. That doesn't make much sense in my opinion. Okay, so I agree. I think we kind of already talked about this. But I think that the force pull thing, people don't like that, but I like that idea. I'd like to see Leia using the force. I think that makes sense for her to be able to use the force. So I'm not against when she did the force pull, but I do think that she should have probably passed away in the film. They might do some CGI. I hope they don't. I hope they just start with her funeral. That's the easy way to go. And screw subverting expectations when you're ending a character because of an actress dying. You know, it's the right thing to do. It's not even like well, we don't want people to know. It's more of like that's what they should do because that's the right thing to do. Now, another reason why they didn't kill Leia was because Carrie Fisher was still alive by the time The Last Jedi finished filming. But like I mentioned, they didn't film any alternate scenes where possibly Carrie Fisher might actually die, and so they have to take out Leia as well. But they didn't film those scenes like movies usually would do. So that's why that is the way it is. On to our next one, Darth Primus. We have Luke survive and Leia dies instead. We just talked about that one, so that's good. On next one we have Felix Massey. He says Snoke's death. There's no extra information on it here, but he's pretty much saying he would change Snoke's death. So would you change the way Snoke died, or would you change Snoke not dying? Let me know in the comments below if you're watching this, and maybe I'll respond to this comment again in the future. Next one we have from Servanthood Productions, and he says, give Rey some actual character development. So this is interesting because when I first saw the film, I actually took Rey's whole situation of her dealing with Luke as kind of like building character, trying to get this person who she needs the help of, who is reluctant to help her, you know, to get him to help. And I guess that's not really that much of a character development. After she leaves the island, she sort of has some character development with Kylo. We definitely see a lot more stuff with her, with these two characters kind of communicating and growing together, which is cool to see, because Snoke even says himself that, you know, they grow together. As one gets stronger, the other one gets stronger. You know, they meet each other. So I think that's a really cool concept as the characters go. But yeah, there should have been more for Rey. Definitely something extra, I guess, for her character. There's something missing, and I hope we see episode 9, if it does have a time jump, which I hope it does, at least a 2-year time jump, something along those lines to let Rey kind of become a better character and perhaps gain more Jedi friends. That would be cool to see. On to the next one, we have Midget Cheese. It's an interesting name. And they say Poe would save Finn, not Rose, and they would kiss. Okay, so you're saying Poe and Finn would be together. I'm okay with this. You know, perhaps Rose died when she saved Finn's life, you know, and now Finn needs some comforting, and Poe's there, and then they kiss, you know, make them feel better. So I'm okay with these two characters being gay. It kind of seems like if they're gonna give a relationship with Rey, it's going to be with Kylo now, and I don't know if I'm 100% on board with that, but I actually prefer to see her with with Kylo now than I would prefer to see her with Poe or Finn, because Poe and Finn, they're characters that I feel like they would mash very well together, you know? So I'm actually a fan of this. I initially wasn't, but as time has gone on, I'm okay with the idea of these two characters getting together, especially if Rose gets killed or moves on or whatever. On our next one, we have Jedi Master Daniel 96, and we have Luke Skywalker in action. So we talked about this in a previous comment, but yeah, Luke should have did more in the film. I understand the beginning of the film with him kind of being reluctant to help, and that was part of his character, but the fact that he finally decided to join the fight in the very end, and it was too late by that point, it's kind of sad. So I would have definitely had more going on there for sure. Last one we have from Polly Palasfest. I know there's a correct way to pronounce that, I just don't know if I said the correct way. And they say, I'd have one more scene with Yoda, that'd be great, but Unchanged The Last Jedi is still great. Don't know if I would agree with that last statement, but as far as seeing more Yoda, I'm 100% okay with seeing more Yoda. I would have liked to see more Yoda, Anakin, Obi-Wan. I would love to see all those characters, but hopefully we see them in episode 9. So yeah. So while I agree with the beginning of your statement, like I said, the very last statement, I don't know if I could agree with that. I don't think a lot of people would agree with that. But I'm gonna leave a poll up here in the top of the screen. Do you guys agree? Do you think that The Last Jedi is great, or do you think that it's bad? Do you think it's okay? I'm gonna leave those 3 different options up there. Let me know on the top of the screen, and maybe I'll do a video covering that poll or something. But that's it for this video, guys. Thank you all for submitting your comments. If you'd like to be featured in a future video, make sure to watch out for my YouTube community posts. When I post the posts on there, just comment, and who knows, you might be featured in the next video. But that's it for now, guys. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, and turn notifications. And until next time, guys, I'll catch you later. Peace.